Hey everybody, it is Soncerae here. I appreciate you guys being here, ladies especially. I just put a post up on my community settings and I was talking about the analytics of my channel lately. There was a time where I could only get about 30% of females watching me on YouTube. My male audience was so strong, and as of lately, now my audience is about 50% men, 50% women, and it has been that way since I got pregnant, which is weird. I mean, I do remember losing a lot of male subscribers because of a lot of like false narratives that a whole bunch of male content creators were spreading about me. And then I lost more male content creators when I ended up more male audience members when I ended up getting in the relationship with Priest. And then when I ended up getting pregnant, I lost more. So I think the fantasy of me, just being as though I was a model and, I was just always the girl that was single. I was single for a long time. I wasn't necessarily sleeping around or anything. It had been so long since I had been in a relationship, and I was just like to myself for so many years. And I would get onto my YouTube channel and I would just talk about dates that I had, and give men relationship advice. And so I guess the fantasy in their mind about who I was kind of like depleting, you know what I mean? Because they saw me in a relationship, they saw I was about to get married, and then they saw that I was pregnant. And then when Priest decided to abandon me in this hotel to basically die, some men with immature or underdeveloped thought processes assume because one man decided to make a poor decision when dealing with a good woman, that somehow it's not his fault, it's the woman's fault, and she isn't necessarily good anymore. You know what I mean? With my audience, I've always been very honest about my life. uh, every day, it was me that told everybody about my sexuality, where I had decided to be bisexual. It was me who had told everyone that I had worked at the swingers club. It was me that told everyone that I was a mistress 10 years ago and was deciding to do this because I had just got out of a relationship with somebody and I was really hurt, trying to just get over that, being cheated on myself for so many years. It was just like, you know what, I don't have anything else to offer but be, a mistress. I was very honest about this stuff. And the reason why I was very honest about it is because these are the things that women go through that they are afraid to discuss. Someone came into my comment section recently and said something to me about honesty. And I'm going to read the comment. I think I did a screenshot. Yeah, I think I took a screenshot of it. And it was written on this video that I wrote. It was called, "They Hate Me Because of My Past. I Must Redeem Myself," right? And so in the comment section, this person named IGS wrote, "It's not that people care about what you did. We appreciate your honesty. It's the fact that a lot of women will be hoes with certain guys. But when they think that they have found this one, they all of a sudden have standards and play the Steve Harvey 90-day rule. Women then want to see these men to pay for dates, spend time and romance, and provide for them when they gave it up to the last guy after a 5-minute conversation without him having to spend a thing. The problem for women is guys ain't falling for it no more and keeping a side chick so that he won't fall prey to the bullshit." Now, when I read that comment, I was like, what in the what? You know what I mean? I was like, excuse me? Like, that sounds crazy as hell. Number one, it seems weird to me that men believe that all men are created equal. Like, I know as a man, if you're dating, right, and you're looking at a line of women in front of you, you're going to rate some women as a 10, you're going to rate some women as a 5, you're going to rate some women as a 2. Women do that too when we look at men. So we're not going to treat you all the same. So if we were out somewhere, just like a guy would, if we're out somewhere and we see a guy and do is, have sex with him, then that's what we're going to do. Women, yes, women do that as well. We like sex as well. And this is what I need men to realize. Like, men don't want women to like sex. Men only want for men to like sex, which is weird because men, you want to sleep with women. So why is it that you feel some type of way about women enjoying sex? That doesn't make any sense. Like, think about that. So I was saying to this guy who put that comment in my comment section, it's really lame to me that you think that, women, we're supposed to treat all guys equal, to where if we meet a guy, we just randomly want to sleep with him. But if we meet another guy, we want to have some longevity with him. And instead of us just sleeping with him instantly, we require some expectations. I mean, we have some expectations or standards with that guy. That's what we're supposed to do, because we value that guy. We value ourselves as well. Like, I think men think if we treat one man as like a one night stand or someone who's just a cut buddy, or we just want to screw them and that's it, that means that we don't have any standards or expectations for ourselves. That's not it. It's just that we don't value that man in that way for us to assign a certain type of meaning to him outside of us just wanting to sleep with him. And men do this all the time. You guys do this to women all the time. You'll meet Nikki and treat Nikki like a queen because you want to be with her. But then you'll meet another girl, Veronica, and you just think she's sexy and want to sleep with her. So you don't treat her the way that you treat Nikki, because Nikki is valuable to you. Veronica is not. So the same way that men do that, women do that as well. So when women just decide, you know what, I'm not going to sleep with this guy instantly. I'm going to get to know him. I'm go out on dates with him. I want him to treat me well. I treat myself well, and I want to have longevity with this man. So I want to see, is he going to be able to treat me good for the long run? So women are thinking the same way men are in regards to that. Okay. So when he left that comment, it really, really shocked me. But sexuality, as far as women in general goes, a lot of women don't want to be honest about what they do with their bodies or their families or whatever, because we always get chastised regardless. I said to someone recently, if we choose a blue collar man who does not make a substantial amount of money, if we do decide to choose him, okay, we are chastised because he's a blue collar worker. But if we was to choose a man who was financially in a good place, and that's the only type of men we date, then we will be classified as gold diggers. So it's like a lose-lose situation for ladies. So, we're very good about keeping secrets, and the reason why is because we don't want to be chastised. I mean, the same reasons why men lie to manipulate and control a situation is the same reason why a woman would lie, because we don't want to be chastised for stuff. And so Soncerae doesn't have that fear. I lost that fear a long time ago when I realized that it was men walking around here doing whatever it is that they wanted to do with women. And men are very good about going after what it is that they want. They will put what they want ahead of what the woman they are with wants. A man will selfishly behave without thinking about the consequences of what they're doing to hurt another woman or another person, or even their own children. They'll put their own selfish needs ahead of women, and men do it every single time. And it takes time for men to decide to not be that type of man. A lot of men are still growing in that department. A lot of men are still struggling with that. So when I realized that men were going to go around and they were going to do whatever it is the fuck that they wanted to do, and it didn't matter, as long as they were happy in the situation, they put their happiness first. I said, as women, we need to put our happiness first as well, because if we are not happy and we are not 100% inside of our situation to begin with, we ain't going to be no good for nobody else, no way. So I just took a note from men and was like, what, I'm gonna just be happy at the end of the day. And whoever ends up being with me, he'll be with me because of me, not because of some other foolishness, some shallow weird infatuation of this perfection that men try to display on women. Like they want us to be like this perfect angel who hasn't made a mistake or doesn't have a hair or or her clothing out of line, or she's just perfect in every way. Financially, her body is straight. She know how to cook. She a good mother. She goes to work every day, always clean, always looking beautiful, always 100% all the time. She never gets sick. Just this weird perfection that women cannot be. We are not beautiful all of the time. We are not energized all of the time. We're not on top of our jobs all of the time. We're not cleaning and cooking all of the time. That's phony. If you see a woman behaving that way towards you, get scared, because there's something going on with her that she's hiding, that she's not telling you. And so anyway, that's why I've been like extremely honest on my channel. And being extremely honest on my channel has people looking at me in all kinds of sideways, different types of ways. And I don't care, because your perspective of me is only a reflection of your insecurities, what you've been through, what you were taught, your upbringing, your education or lack thereof, your experiences, and what you've been going through. That's the only way you'll be able to look in my direction and decide whether you want to judge me or not. Because anyone who has been living life, like real life, they know they can't look in the direction of another human being and be so judgmental to the point where they're hypocritical. Like I see a lot of that happening where people will try to compare their mistakes versus yours. And I see that on a lot of social media platforms: men versus women, single fathers versus single mothers, married women versus side chicks, Black women versus white women, baby mamas versus wives, just light skin versus dark skin, broke bitches versus rich bitches. There's always people sitting here comparing themselves to somebody else and what this person got and ain't got. What kind of man she with versus the kind of man that she got. It's just a big comparison. And I've been seeing it on social media so often. And as I've been scrolling through the internet today, I actually ran up on some interesting things. And of course, it has something to do with the title. The title of my live stream today is called "Ways Single Mothers Destroy Their Sons." Hashtag the matriarchy. Now, I've been doing a lot of matriarchy videos because that's where I'm headed, with the ladies. I want more women to come to my channel, and so we can sit down and discuss single motherhood and womanism. That's very, very important to me right now. And that's why I share a lot of the Black woman sphere videos, because she is big on womanism, and I'm not as much as well spoken as Miss Bishop A over there. I call her Bishop Angela. But over there, she is very, very vocal and very, very organized when it comes to her thought processes in regards to womanism. So I encourage women to go over to her channel. So anyway, matriarchy is something that I'm going to discuss a lot, because there are a lot of misconceptions and myths in regards to matriarchy. Number one, what I do need a lot of people to understand is that in modern day matriarchy, it's not something that has to do with the Amazons. Because remember, Amazons are fictional. That's not real, where the Amazons would torture men and be disrespectful towards men and have all of these negative things to say and do towards men. That's not what matriarchy is about at all. Men live better when women are in charge in matriarch societies. In matriarch societies, women are very, very respectful towards men. Okay. It's in a matriarch type of household, or even in a society, it's not a place where women are in charge and they degrade men. See, in a patriarch type of society, men are in charge and they degrade women. But see, matriarch is not like that. And for some reason, a lot of men believe that the matriarch is that way, and that's not how it is. Men live better where women are in charge because they have less or equal responsibility. Women lead the way that they want to. Women control the money. And gender roles don't have meaning in modern day matriarchy. And there's no violence because women don't solve conflicts with violence. It's very shameful to fight. There's no such thing as vengeance, and threatening someone's social standing. And women in matriarchal societies are effective, reliable leaders. And men are just basically needed for like physical labor. Okay. One thing I wanted to do, hold on, I wanted to say a couple of things in regards to this, because I want to be very, very clear how they do things very, very differently in the matriarch society. So sex life is very distinctive, and usually partners change frequently. And like I said on a live stream before, that I wanted to look deeper into modern day matriarchy because I wanted to understand sexually transmitted diseases, because like I said, partners are changed frequently. Like women decide with whom they want to spend the night with, and they have like these basically these living quarters where they have a main entrance, and each adult woman lives by herself, and men live together in a larger house. So again, women who are in matriarchal societies live alone. They live in little living quarters alone. Okay. And women and men live all together in like a large house. And so each door of this woman's living quarters is like this hook. It's like a hook where men put their hat. And when a man puts his hat there, that means he's visiting that woman. And everyone knows that that woman has a male visitor, and no one comes by, knocks on the door. No one basically like interferes. And if a woman does fall in love with that man, she receives only that specific man, and that man only comes to that woman. Okay, so that's just if they fall in love. But if they don't fall in love, it's okay. Like, men will sleep with other women, and that woman will also sleep with other men, and no one will be offended. You see what I'm saying? So in that type of society, sexuality is freer, and people aren't getting upset with each other about sex partners. So it's a smoother environment. Marriage is actually looked at negatively in that environment. And if women end up getting pregnant, usually all of the women in that specific village or that specific, society take care of the children, because the children are going to stay with the mothers regardless. Okay. And in modern day matriarch societies, matriarchy is not the opposite of patriarchy. Okay. Matriarchy does not reflect oppression of men. It's actually a place of freedom, a society of freedom. It's collaborative, and it's relaxed, and it's a place where women aren't harassed. We are more sexually receptive, which in turn makes things better for both men and with women, because the only thing that really matters in a matriarch society is altruism, compassion, sensitivity, and mutual benefit amongst men and women. So in those societies, women create a better society by sharing resources and stabilizing family and having good sexual experiences. It's just social harmony and higher sexual interaction. So it's not the patriarch norms that we see in the United States. And anytime women who are head of matriarchs come into the United States with their beliefs and their culture and the things that they do, people turn their nose at it immediately, because they believe that matriarchy is opposite of patriarchy, when it's not. That's not what it is. So when I hashtag everything matriarchy, is because I'm going to start sharing the positives of it, because it's not a negative. It's not a negative. So while I was doing my regular everyday matriarch like research, I ran across a lot of things that people say negatively about matriarchy. Okay. And being as though I'm a single mother and I did not want to be initially, because I was afraid. I was afraid of being humiliated and chastised for being a single mother. Like I said before, I told the story before I got on YouTube, I looked at single motherhood as like one of the most powerful things, because you got to be really powerful and disciplined to be able to do something like that. And so I was seeing a whole bunch of men just basically degrade single motherhood on YouTube. I had never seen it anywhere else. Nowhere else. Like, I had never seen any man feel some type of way about marrying a single mother and becoming a stepfather. I had never seen men basically just degrade women because of it. And I guess it's because of the network of men that surrounded me. I mean, the men in my family, the men that I grew up with, the men I went to high school and college with, the men I worked with, my coworkers, they all seem to be very level-headed and not so concerned about single motherhood. I didn't see the degradation of single mothers until I got here on YouTube. And so I started to get like this negative perspective of single mothers in my mind. I never classified myself as a single mother for many years, because, my daughter's 18. Her father was and still is an amazing father. And I say that all of the time on my YouTube channel. Like, I have always given my daughter's father amazing praise, because he's a really good person. And when I met my son's father, a priest, I always said to him, I don't want to be a single mother. Like, that's the worst thing that you can do to me. Please don't do that to me. That's the worst thing that you can do, because I don't want to bring another child into this world out of wedlock. Now, that lets you know right there that something was programmed in my mind negatively. Because like I said on Mother's Day, if you didn't check out my live stream on Mother's Day, being a single mother and being just a regular mom and you have a husband, it's still the same. Your children still treat you the same. You're still putting in the same energy towards your children. Your relationship status, whether you're single, married, widowed, engaged, doesn't matter in regards to what type of mother you are. At the end of the day, you are going to work just as hard as a mother if you're a single mother or a mother who has a husband, because your kids will always look at you as number one. There will always be that bond there between you and your children, because you carried your children. Your children are literally your flesh and blood. So it's different. It's not the same as the type of bond a child will have with a father. It never will be that. It's never an equal bond between a child and his father or her father, and a child and her mother or his mother, because men don't have the luxury to carry for 9 months. And so I carried my son for 9 months. And I said on Mother's Day, I was saying how when I was pregnant, right, my son was all I had. He was the only reason why I was alive, you know? all I had was him, and all he had was me. All we had was each other. We kept each other alive. And it's something beautiful about that. It's something beautiful about single motherhood. So as I was looking through the matriarchy stuff, doing my research about matriarchy, I saw this article that was written in 2013. It's old, right? And I don't know why I stumbled upon it now for the first time, but I'm pretty sure someone has made a video about this on YouTube. And the article is called Ways Single Mothers Destroy Their Sons. Okay? And I'm going to read it. It says the most toxic environment for a boy growing up is a single mother household. Boys don't get all their needs met in a single parent household. Now, I just told you guys, in a matriarch, the women always keep the kids, but they decide to go. And their society is a lot more peaceful the way that they handle things. And women end up taking care of the kids as a group. All of the women. Like if a mother gives birth to a child, that child is basically considering every woman inside of that specific village or specific, network of women mother, because everyone is nurturing the children. You ever heard the term, it takes a village? Remember back when we were younger and our parents were younger, they always talk about how the neighborhood used to take care of the kids back in the day. I know you guys have heard your parents say that, because my mother's would say that, if you were in trouble with one person, you was like in trouble with everybody. All of the parents were mad at you. That's the type of society a matriarch society is. So if you're in a single parent home, technically you're not in a matriarch, because every woman within close proximity of you as a child is mothering you. Okay. And you're getting everything that you need. So anyway, back to this article. Many of the lessons they learn in that hostile territory growing up makes them into confused, lost men with no defined sense of identity. How does a single mother destroy her son? Let me count the ways. Now, as I read this article, I was agreeing with a lot. So let me read them. The first one is something I spoke about on my channel myself. Speaking negatively about their father. The most damaging thing a mother can do is speak badly about a child's father in front of them. These negative statements about the child's father are the equivalent of hitting that child with a fist in the jaw. One half of that child is the father, and when he hears his mother saying negative things about him, the boy grows up doubting himself. They think that there's something wrong with them, that they need to change a part of themselves to get approval of his angry mother. It's these identity issues usually cause him to resolve to not be like his father. It's these identity issues that causes a boy to hate himself. Now, I agree. I remember when everybody asked me what was I going to tell Justice about Priest, and I said I was going to always say positive stuff. Then I was thinking maybe I shouldn't say anything. Then I was thinking maybe I should tell him Priest is dead. Right? But I was never going to be the person that says something negative about his father. So just because a woman is a single mother doesn't mean she's automatically going to speak negatively about his father. I made a video while I was still pregnant saying what I was going to say to my son. And it went along the lines of, I was going to tell my son that his father did love him very much. His father wanted him, named him, wanted to be a father, but he changed because of fear. Fear drove him to do something and make a poor decision that he shouldn't have. And I don't want that for my son. And I'm going to encourage him to not allow fear to be the cause for him to make poor decisions. Okay, the next one. Another way a single mother destroys their sons is by saying negative things about men. Thanks to their failed relationships with the child's father, many single mothers have a subconscious hatred of men. And they express that hatred about every man they come in contact with, saying things like that no good nigga, or men ain't shit, or doing things like avoiding male cashiers, salesmen, and speaking negatively about male acquaintances have a profound impact on children, especially boys. Hearing these negative statements and seeing these misogynistic actions about men and regarding men make little boys afraid of embracing their masculinity and their male identity. One of the easiest ways to turn a boy into a mangina is to have him constantly hear numerous negative statements about men from his mother. When a boy hears that his mother hates men, he resolves to not be like them, which is simply self-hatred. I agree. That is one thing that I always heard about men from women in my family. I was always taught that men ain't shit every day. And it's one of those things that I put out my mind. Like, it took me a while to accept that. You see what I'm saying? Because initially I was like, no, I'm just going to keep trying with these men. I'm going to get married. I'm going to do whatever, even though I keep, meeting like these men and these horrible situations are happening and blah, 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 boo, 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 boo. I kept trying. Instead of telling me that men wasn't shit, what my aunts and mothers and whoever was feminine in my family should have told me was how to sift between good men and bad men. Because that's one thing I didn't learn. That's one thing that was not presented to me as a little girl. I had to figure it out on my own, As far as boys go, I think what you have to do is decipher the difference between a good man and a bad man instead of generalizing all men, saying negative things about all men. You have to be selective about what you say to your sons because it's very true. A boy will hate himself. Okay, the next one. Ways single mothers destroy their sons. Teaching their sons to disrespect their father's authority. One of the most dangerous things single mothers indirectly teach their children is to disrespect male authority by making negative statements about the child's father, dismissing things he says, and telling them to disregard his instructions. She teaches her children to have no respect for male authority, and to have no regard for males in charge. Most mothers think they're getting back at the dad by doing this, but they don't see the long-term damage they do by teaching their sons to have contempt for their fathers. Boys growing up to disrespect of their fathers have no respect for all other men in society. Now, I don't think that single mothers are directly doing this. I think they're indirectly doing this. They're subconsciously doing this when they do make negative statements about their fathers. Now, if you're a good dad, usually 9 times out of 10, your child's mother isn't walking around just making negative statements about you. I mean, the deadbeats, of course, negative statements are going to be made about you. I don't think it's healthy to say that the negative statements around children, but I do believe you can't avoid it if you are a deadbeat. Like, if you disappear and you're not around, you have no control over what's being said about you, because there's a difference between what's being said about you and what you do. Like, people can gossip about you all day. People can say negative stuff about you all day. But what you do, if it runs parallel with it, or if it doesn't run parallel with it, that'll be obvious to people who have common sense. And children aren't necessarily dumb. You see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people think because children are children, they're stupid. They may not understand some things, but one thing I can tell you that children do is they pay attention to your actions. So if you are a male and you're demanding respect from your children and you're always in your children's lives, there's nothing that your child's mother could say to them to get them to disrespect you, because you yourself will have taught them, being a respectful man yourself, that they should respect you. You understand? By your own actions. So there's nothing a single mother can say or, teach a child as far as disrespect if you are a respectable father and you're there doing what you're supposed to do. There's nothing a single mother can say to like destroy that. Okay. So I don't think that boys growing up to disrespect their fathers, have no respect for all other men in society, is something that's the fault of a single mother. You understand? Now, that's just for men who are actually in their child's lives. Single mothers who have fathers that are not there, I would encourage them to not say anything negative about men. And if you do decide to say something negative, it has to be something negative about a behavior that a man has, not necessarily men. You have to teach your children the difference between a bad behavior versus a bad person. You see what I'm saying? Because bad people can be male, female, black, white, short, tall, whatever. And people of all races and all ages have bad behaviors. So you have to teach children that the difference between good behavior and bad behavior. But to say that all men are one way or all women are one way, that's a horrible way to teach anyone. Okay, so here's another thing. This is about disrespect. Teaching their sons to disrespect male authority and male authority figures. When a woman teaches her son, and again, I don't think single mothers are directly doing this or purposely doing this. When a mother teaches her son to have no respect for the authority of their fathers, it teaches them that men are not to be respected. Now, hear me again say that if a father is respectful of himself and he is in his child's life, he will be there to teach his child respect. So there's nothing a mother can do about that, because a father is already teaching them to respect men. So this thing to read is kind of, but I'm going to read it anyway. Teaching their sons to disrespect male authority and male authority figures. When a mother teaches her son to have no respect for the authority of their fathers, it teaches them that men are not to be respected. That can get him into trouble when he runs into male authority figures such as supervisors and police officers when he gets older. This is why many boys who come from single parent homes have a hard time adjusting to the real world. When challenged by male authority figures, they often resist them or disrespect them because they've been made to believe they are beneath them. What most boys from single parent homes don't understand are that these men they have little regard for have the power to fire him from a job. And if they're in law enforcement, these men who have the power to kill him if he doesn't follow their instructions to the letter. Now, I don't think that single mothers are doing this directly. I think they're doing this indirectly. Because I know for me, even if I was to be talking disrespectfully to my son about his father, I would still teach him the difference between the authority of a police officer and the authority of like a supervisor. Authority figures, male authority figures. Like it's just, you can't say that this is grouped all together. You see what I'm saying? Because at least me, I know how to departmentalize. So if I'm teaching my son something negative about his father, I'm not going to at the same time be like, fuck police officers and also fuck supervisors. No, it's just not. I'm not going to. No, I don't think any single mother is doing that purposely. Okay. Um, okay, so another way single mothers destroy their sons: projecting anger at the father onto the son. It's not common for a single mother to go into an angry rant when their son does something wrong or makes a mistake when they disagree with her. Oftentimes, she's venting the rage she feels about the child's father at the son. Statements like, "You're going to grow up to be like your no good daddy," hits boys like fists. Oftentimes, these emotionally abusive blows knock boys down for the count emotionally before they even get up to become men. These hostile, negative statements from a single mother can force boys to withdraw socially and erect emotional walls. These walls prevent these boys from connecting with others and forming healthy relationships when they get older. I think people project anger in the wrong places all of the time. I see people do it online all of the time. I see it like oddly online all the time. But I think it's some women out there that do that. I don't think it's because she's a single mother though. I just think she's like a bad person. Like even with the last statement in regards to teaching sons to disrespect male authority and male figures. Any mother who teaches their son to disrespect male authority is just a bad person in general. It doesn't have to do with the fact that she's a single mom. I think a lot of the negative things, like the things that I'm going to discuss, the things that that single mothers do to destroy their sons, I think this is because these women are just bad in general. It isn't because they're single mothers that suddenly made them a bad person. They're just a bad person, or they weren't taught better themselves. Because whether your father was around or not, you still learn to respect authority. Like even for me, my father wasn't around. I always heard negative stuff about men, but I did still respect law enforcement and my supervisors and stuff. Male authority, I still respect. It had nothing to do with my mom, whether or not she said something negative to me about my dad. You see what I'm saying? Like I think she instilled in me to respect authority, you and respect people who have respectable positions or who are doing respectable things, and to be disrespectful towards others who may be disrespecting themselves or other people, if you catch what I'm saying. So I don't know. Here's another way single mothers destroy their sons: not allowing their fathers to see them. While things between a single mother and the child's father may have soared, the mother should never deny the father a right to see his child if he wants to see them. Contrary to the belief of most feminists and liberals, a woman cannot be a mother and father to a boy, nor can she raise a boy to become a man. Boys need that relationship with their father to gain a sense of themselves and to understand their masculinity and male identity. Without that relationship, they often grow up lost and confused about their identity as a man. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky for me, because I feel like, and I think that boys need a relationship with a male, a good male, to gain a sense of themselves and to understand their masculinity and male identity. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be their father. It could be a teacher. It could be a coach. It could be an uncle. It could be a friend of the family, just a positive male role model. You see what I'm saying? Because not all fathers are good people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's some fathers out here who are bad for their kids. And a lot of the time, these single mothers are not allowing these fathers to see these kids because these fathers are bad ass fathers. Like they'll teach these boys some negative character traits. That's why some single mothers don't allow these children to see their fathers. I tried to let my son's father see. I tried to let Priest see justice. He doesn't want to, and I think that's for the best because he has so many. Like Priest has so many negative character traits that I would hate for Justice to have. And the good part about Justice is he has all of the positive things that I enjoyed about Priest. He doesn't have all of the negative things that Priest learned that he would hand down. You understand? So I'm kind of glad that Priest is around. When boys can't answer those questions that only a father can answer, which is no question in the world that a boy can ask that his father is the only one that can answer this. No, because there's no question, none, not one question on this planet a boy could have that only his father can answer. Like there are plenty of other places that boys can go to learn about masculinity, not hyper masculinity, not false masculinity, like the stuff that you see on TV, and learning stuff from their friends, and learning not poisonous sources for them to learn what masculinity is, but from a good place. And that's where it's going to get difficult. That's what the responsibility of a single mother is, making sure that their child has that masculine and male identity, something to identify with in regards to masculinity, and it has to be a positive source. Okay, next it says bringing in a substitute for a father. Now I was just talking about that. I was just talking about like a coach or uncle or something like that. There are some amazing stepfathers out there. There's some amazing like uncles, coaches, just people out there who have taken over the roles of male figures. So let's read what it says. It says, excuse me, many single mothers who have alienated the child's father and are overwhelmed try to bring in a substitute male to role model for him. Unfortunately, this man often never measures up or is capable of doing the job of the child's father. Guess I ain't seen Sierra husband, because that man is that man's a golden child. I swear to God. Oftentimes, he winds up just as overwhelmed and frustrated as a single mother is because he has no understanding of the family's history or the previous history of the child. A person, a substitute for a father, maybe a stepfather or something like that, doesn't have to know the family's history or previous history of the child in order to be able to teach the child something new. You understand? Like, he may have to understand what that child has been through, maybe, but 9 times out of 10, when a man comes around, he's a good person and he's teaching a young boy to be good or positive. A lot of times the child will speak to the man about his history. You know what I'm saying? His own personal history as a child, like a lot of the times. And we're just talking about like young kids might not do that, but if you're coming into a situation where there's a teenage boy there, the previous history in the family or whatever is something that will be shared. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't think that that's required in order for a man to come in and be a respectable, like positive, fun, loving, like father or stepfather or, male figure for a boy. It says most single mothers don't understand. What most single mothers don't understand is that only a father can meet the needs of his son. Okay, so fathers are like designed for you. And sometimes the best version of a father for you ain't even your blood. Like the best version of a father for me was my uncle. He wasn't even my father. My stepfather wasn't even a good father. My uncle was an amazing father figure to me. Like just watching him, who he is, you know? So I don't believe that only fathers can meet the needs of sons. I think it just needs to be a positive male role model. I don't think that only fathers can meet the emotional needs of a boy, because half of that boy is based on who he is. Because my thing is, okay, justice is half priest, justice is half me. All right. If Justice never was to know who Priest was or anything like that, right? But he did have a father figure around his whole life who was an amazing, positive male role model. Justice will believe he is half of their role model. Now, he'll still probably want to know who his father is, but because there was a positive role model there, it'll create who he is. Like you can't, like one thing that I remember I was listening to Jay-Z talk about. Jay-Z was talking about how he went to his father's funeral and he didn't feel some type of way because he didn't really know his father like that. Like if you don't know, it doesn't affect you in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not a void to be filled when you have someone in your life that is filling that void. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not there. It would only be a void there if there was nothing to fill it, or if it was something negative there filling it. You understand? So I don't know. For me, it's just, I don't know. I just don't believe that. Okay. Ways single mothers destroy their sons. Coddling their sons. Single mothers are the biggest enablers of bad behavior in boys. When their sons do wrong, they make excuses for them. When they make mistakes in life, they blame others for doing wrong by their boy. And when they fail in life, they bail them out. Thanks to their coddling, their sons never grow up learning they have to take responsibility for their actions. Oftentimes, the sons of single mothers often grow up spoiled with a sense of entitlement and a belief that the world owes them something. That makes them impossible adults to deal with. Let me just say I partially agree with this, and let me tell you why. Because I always look at my son's father's mother and I'm confused. Because my son's father's mother, Priest's mother, she was in a relationship previously, right, with Priest's father, and they had 3 kids together, but they never got married. And then she met another man and they got married. And Priest was close to his stepfather. Okay? And to me, I would think that a lot of the masculine things that Priest knows, he learned from his stepfather. I don't think his stepfather was the coddling type. You understand? But a lot of the things, the mistakes, the wrongdoings that Priest does, his mother doesn't check him on it. You know what I mean? Because I don't care how old Justice gets, right? If Justice was to get a woman pregnant, right, and this chick comes to me and she says, my son got me pregnant, we have a baby on the way, I would have taught my son to handle it a lot better than Priest handled his situation with me. And I remember just recently I was doing a live stream and I was talking about how Priest's mother, he gave her an ultimatum. He told her, choose me or Justice, basically. And she said she wasn't going to choose Justice. She wasn't going to reach out to me to see how Justice was because Priest told her that he would discontinue talking to her. And the fact that he even gave her this ultimatum is crazy to me. But he gave her this and she chose him. And to me, she enabled him, you know, and she was never a single mother. You see what I mean? When women enable bad behavior coming from their sons, it has nothing to do with them being a single mother. It has to do with them being a bad person. This shouldn't say single mothers are the biggest enablers of bad behavior in their boys. That shit should say some mothers are the biggest enablers of bad behavior in boys. Thanks to their coddling, their sons never grow up learning they have to take responsibility for their actions. Oftentimes, the sons of some women often grow up spoiled with a sense of entitlement and a belief that the world owes them something that makes them impossible adults to deal with. This shouldn't say single mothers. See, I think people think because a woman is single, all of this negative stuff can happen to her, to their children. It isn't her being a single mother that's making these things be bad. It's just her upbringing as a person was bad. Because like I said, I'm a single mom. Let my son get some woman pregnant. Let that happen. Like, what? The way my situation with me and Priest, come on now. My son is what? My son would never be able to get away with the foolishness that Priest has gotten away with. Come on now. Anyway. Inconsistent discipline, ways single mothers destroy their sons. Along with coddling, the most damaging thing single mothers do to kids is inconsistently disciplining them because they don't understand the role a father plays in establishing consistent structure and order in a child's life. They either don't punish boys for their bad behavior or they go overboard with excessively violent or harsh punishments. Now, one thing I've always said is I don't do abuse. I don't hit. I don't hit kids. I don't hit because of the abuse I experienced as a child. I don't like it. So I don't hit my kids. And punishing children, consistently disciplining a child is something a mother can do. And if she is inconsistent in regards to discipline, it isn't because she's a single mother that this is happening. It means she isn't disciplined. And out of frustration, she gets excessively violent and has harsh punishments because she does not know how to discipline. Now, today, my son, let me tell you what he was doing. My son is 1. For some reason, he likes to be on my desk. Like I have a little desk when I'm sitting on the floor. I have like a desk, like a little tray that I put my laptop on and my phone, and he loves playing with my mouse because it has a red light underneath. And I consistently have to tell my son, no, 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 because he isn't strong enough to be stable enough to not hit his head on the little desk because he's little. So it's like his size, it's little kid size, you know? And so I consistently have to say, no, 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 stop it. No, no, like over and over and over again. And I know some mothers who would have popped them by now, because I know that used to be something my mother would say, pop him, pop her, you know. And I don't lack that patience, I don't lack patience with him. So I'm consistently, no, 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 not hitting him. No, 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 over. And so finally, after I said enough no's and repetition didn't work for him, because repetition usually is the thing that works. And plus I gotta, be stern in my voice and not, so he won't think I'm playing. I put him in a playpen because he thinks playpen is jail. Like I used to do with my daughter. Like my daughter used to love to play. And instead of hitting her when she would be bad, I would make her sit in a corner. See, you think the corner is like corny, right? No, because kids who like to move around and do stuff hate sitting still. They hate being confined. They don't like it. So I don't have to violently, excessively punish my kids or harshly punish them. I said, okay, you don't want to listen to mommy? I put you right in playpen. Time out. Boom. It works every time. Okay, way single mothers destroy their sons' inconsistent discipline. With an emotional single mother, there is no plan of action to correct the bad behavior in their sons or to educate them or what they're doing wrong. So the bad behavior often continues well into their adulthood. And because boys never learn that for every action, there will be the same reaction every time. They never grow up to learn how to take responsibility for their actions. Okay, ways single mothers destroy their sons, teaching boys to be emotional. Boys who grew up in a single parent home don't learn how to control their emotions. This leads them to not being able to cope with conflict in life. A boy has to grow up to learn discipline and self-control in order to navigate life in the real world. When he's raised to think logically by his father, he learns the self-control that allows him to walk away from trouble. He thinks about the long-term ramifications of his actions and the impact on others. But when he's raised by a woman, he learns to think of his short-term feelings, and when he acts on those feelings, he often says and does things he regrets. A man who has no control over his emotions is more prone to go into a rage where he beats a woman who disagrees with him or says no to him, gets into fights with men over silly things like basketball games or a look in his direction, or his words and actions can cause him to get into a scuffle with police where he's fatally shot and killed for resisting arrest. This loss of self-control can cause him to seem as weak by other men and make him a target for the abuses of both predatory men and women. Okay, so I can give you an example again of how this has nothing to do with a single mother when I just gave you an example of Priest's mom. Priest is bad about controlling his emotions, right? He thinks not showing emotion at all is him controlling his emotions. Like him not showing or being honest about what he feels and or thinks is how you control your emotions. No. Like lying about it or hiding it or not saying how you truly feel. That's what he thinks. And he had a father and a stepfather. You see what I'm saying? That's still a horrible way to deal with your emotions. Like to lie and say that you don't feel something, or to lie and say that you do feel something. To mask a feeling is not controlling it. And a lot of men tend to teach boys that means that they're controlled. You know, Priest only thinks of his short-term feelings. He acts on those feelings. And he has done things that he now regrets. All right. He never thinks of the long-term ramifications of his actions and the impacts on others. And this is a man with a father and a stepfather. So single mothers aren't the reasons why boys are emotional or don't know how to control their emotions. Hiding your emotions is not you dealing with your shit. Okay, it's not at all. Self-control. Let me tell you something about self-control and discipline. A lot of men lack it. They think like if you break up with a woman, you ever seen a guy break up with a woman, then he goes and he sleeps around with a whole bunch of women? That's no self-control. Tommy was just on a live stream talking about a man who had 3 women pregnant at the same time. That's not self-control. You understand? Promiscuity is not self-control. So for a man to lack self-control It has nothing to do with single motherhood. It has to do with who's raising him in general. Okay. All right. So ways single mothers destroy their sons, not teaching their sons what boundaries are. Some single mothers just don't understand what structure is like men do. Oh, really? What a sexist statement. A part of the healthy establishment of structure is establishing boundaries. Boundaries are imaginary lines in the sand that keeps boys safe. They keep boys from going too far and doing things that will hurt them. A strong father teaches their sons what boundaries are at an early age. Mothers can teach that as well. Newsflash, mothers can teach that as well. Boys who grow up without boundaries cross lines. They take dangerous, unnecessary risks. They don't know when they've gone too far. Exactly. They violate people's personal space and they can't take no for an answer. This leads to people have to do things like take out restraining orders, have them arrested, beat them severely, or even kill them to make them stop whatever they're doing. That is not the fault of a single mother. Again, must we reference back to my son's father? No boundaries, takes unnecessary risks, don't know when they've gone too far. No boundaries, no respect for boundaries. And this is a man who had a father and then a stepfather. Okay? When a boy grows up and doesn't know about structure or establishing boundaries, it's just that the people that raised him were bad at raising him, whether they were male and female. Ways single mothers destroy their sons, not teaching their sons coping skills. Boys who grow up in a single parent home often don't learn how to cope with the obstacles life throws at them. When things like rejection, failure, and loss come into their lives, they don't grieve hurt for a while and move on like real men do. Instead, they go berserk. Boys who haven't been taught coping skills by their fathers can't deal with the many curves life throws at them. When their girlfriends leave them, they stalk and kill them. When they lose a job, they go on a shooting rampage. And when life just gets too damn hard for them, they commit suicide. Wow, so extreme. That is so extreme. Again, there are men who do that who have both of their parents. That is definitely not just associated with single parent homes. I don't know why this person, like this article is interesting. Okay, ways single mothers destroy their sons. Establishing a codependent relationship. One of the most destructive things single mothers do to their sons is to try to turn them into a surrogate husband. What they don't understand is that they're doing is establishing a codependent relationship with them. In this codependent relationship, single mothers attach an emotional hose up to their sons, and as they use their sons to get their emotional and other needs met, it literally sucks the life out of these boys, preventing them from growing up to become healthy, functional men who can have a relationship with a woman his own age. Thanks to codependent single mothers, boys never learn to get their own lives and become their own man. Wow, I agree. I definitely agree that a lot of single mothers do that. So I can't say that. I can't say that. That's good. I agree with that. I know a lot of mothers that do that turn their son into their little surrogate husband. I always said the one thing that I can teach my son is how to treat his wife and daughters. I don't want him to be, like my little husband or whatever. Okay. Ways single mothers destroy their sons. Smothering. Smothering, something that prevents a boy from growing up to become a healthy, emotionally stable, functional man. When a woman smothers her son, it's the equivalent of putting a boot on a boy's neck and never letting him get up. It paralyzes him and prevents him from moving forward in life. Many single mothers often kill their boys by choking the life out of them with their constant nagging and hovering over them. When a mother holds a child too close to them, it prevents them from going out into the world and experiencing life. When they try to dictate the terms of a boy's manhood, all it leads to is him growing up dependent on women for his existence. Smothering. Well, here's my thing. I haven't seen a lot of single mothers do smothering. What I've seen them do is be neglected. in regards to a lot of things that they should have taught him in regards to independence. And so they end up growing dependent on women for their existence. I don't think that smothering is the reason why boys grow up and become dependent on women for their existence. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying I've never seen it or thought that to be the reason why. Usually when mothers don't hold their sons accountable for things, they pretty much are their mothers kind of like saviors. So they save them from a whole bunch of stuff. And this leads them to be dependent on women to fight their battles for them. And I've seen men do that. Men have women fighting their battles or speaking for them. And that's terrible. Okay, ways single mothers destroy their sons. Bullying. Single mothers often use threats, intimidation, and verbal abuse to control their sons because they become frustrated when they act in masculine ways they don't understand. I was just saying that a minute ago, like when we were talking about discipline and how abuse and things like that are what some women use when they don't know how to discipline their sons because they aren't disciplined themselves. So you can't teach someone discipline when you aren't disciplined. It's often this emotional abuse that makes their boys grow up to see women as overbearing, domineering, emasculating, and downright hostile. This form of bullying often makes boys avoid women and avoid relationships with women. If a decent woman doesn't show him what a positive relationship with a woman looks like, he grows up to think of all women as monsters. I agree. I agree. Let's see. Next one. Ways single mothers destroy their sons. Trying to run his life. Some single mothers often try to control every move their son makes. This turns them into pussy whipped mama's boys who can't do anything for themselves. What most single mothers don't understand is that a man has to go out into the world one day, and that boys have to grow up and learn how to do things for themselves if they're going to survive out there. If he can't leave his mother's locus of control, he'll never learn how to take responsibility for himself. I agree with that one. That one I can definitely agree with. Okay, next one. Ways single mothers destroy their sons, thinking she can raise a man to be a man on her terms. Single mothers often try to define their son's manhood on her terms. They're often disappointed when their quest to make a perfect man out of their sons blows up in their faces. Usually, when women define a boy's manhood and male identity, he grows up to become a pathetic creature who can't do anything for himself without the leadership of a woman or a misogynist with a vehement hatred, vehement, vehement, vehement hatred for women. What most single mothers don't understand is that only a man can teach a man how to be a real man. Only a man understands what a man has to do to navigate life in this world. There are only some lessons a man can teach a boy about life, and women need to understand this. I agree. I agree. I would never know what it means to be a man. I can only point my son in the direction of a good role model. And so that's why I've been very selective about, what type of men I have around myself. And I feel like I have failed in the past in regards to choosing men because I chose his father. Okay, so after learning the lesson of choosing his father, that is the last lesson I will learn in regards to how I choose men. And the men I've chosen from that point on have been amazing men. So, okay, ways single mothers destroy their sons. Trying to turn their sons into perfect people. Another mistake single mothers try to do is making their sons better than their father. This puts a lot of pressure on a boy and gives him inferiority complex. Boys who are trying to be perfect often wind up growing up filled with insecurity and anxiety. This fear encompasses every part of their life, making them introverted and withdrawn. They can't cope with the challenges of everyday life because they're afraid of making a mistake that messes everything up. When it's mistakes that make them better men. When boys make some mistakes, they build the character that allows them to become stronger men with a tougher resolve. Okay, so Just a minute ago, this man was talking about life and mistakes, too many mistakes, not taking accountability for those mistakes. So, trying to turn your son into a perfect person, I just don't understand why he feels like in order to even build character, you kind of got to make the mistake in order to build the character. I don't think that. I don't think that you got to make mistakes in order to build character. I think some things you can like really just avoid and not even make that mistake if you listen to someone who's trying to steer you in the right direction and you actually trust them, you know. Um, Men who fail, fall, and screw up learn how to get up, dust themselves off, and try again. I agree that failure is a part of life, and every failure only helps them grow. That's very positive. I agree. Ironically, in their obsessive quest to make their sons perfect, single mothers wind up making their sons into pathetic, weak men who can't function in society. Boys who grow up to become men who are afraid of taking risks, men who are always playing it safe, men who are nothing more than cowards. Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. Ways single mothers destroy their sons, not encouraging them or supporting them in their quest to become independent men. Many single mothers profess to love their sons, but when those boys try to do things that will allow them to grow up to become independent men, they shut them down or sabotage them. Many single mothers fear that if their sons start taking adult actions, that will take them to the next level, they'll become like their evil fathers. So they do things to keep them stranded in a state of arrested development. Oftentimes, these go sorry. Oftentimes, these codependent single mothers are afraid that if their sons start taking actions that will allow them to become adults, they'll set boundaries and remove the emotional holes they attach. And without that boy to maintain that codependent relationship with them, they'll wither away and die pathetic, lonely women. Or worse, they fear that their sons will find out the truth regarding the relationship between her and his father. Hmm. Hmm. This goes back to the whole thing that we were talking about earlier, where talking negatively about the father. If you tell your son the truth about what happened between you and the father, and it's a negative story, is that classified as you speaking negatively about the father? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, how else is he going to find out the story? You know, I don't think him being independent of his mother, or if his mom, his single mom, is not encouraging or supporting him to their quest to become an independent man, I don't think that that's going to, their son finding out the story is going to be, you know, like the result of that. I don't know. That seems weird. Am I not thinking that through correctly? Am I just sleepy? Because it is late. It's like, well, it's not late. It's 9:39 here. I don't know what time it is where y'all at, but where I'm at is 9:39. You know, maybe I'm just reading that wrong, because I just don't think that it's a lot of single mothers out here encouraging their sons to not be independent. I'm just gonna skip that one because me, I don't. That's not registering right in my mind. I don't know why. Ways single mothers destroy their sons, not encouraging boys to embrace their masculinity. Single mothers often do their sons a disservice by not encouraging them to be masculine. Well, I've seen the opposite of that. I've seen single mothers try to teach their sons how to be masculine, and then these sons end up being hyper masculine to where their sense of masculinity isn't even real. It's like this fake thing that they believe is masculinity when it's not. That's what I've seen single mothers do. Instead, they shame their boys about expressing their masculinity, in some cases punish them for it. I've never seen a single mother punish their boys for expressing masculinity. I haven't seen that. It says some women do this subconsciously because they have a deep-seated hatred for the child's father, so they seek to get even with him by sabotaging their son's development. Oh, wow. Wow, I've never seen that. By emasculating him and destroying his masculinity and male identity, she hopes to get him back at that man who she thinks did her wrong. What? I ain't heard that before. That's the first time I ever heard that foolishness. I mean, it might be true, but I ain't never heard nothing like that. If anything, I don't know that the mom wants the masculinity there. Okay, ways single mothers destroy their sons, not encouraging boys to embrace their sexuality. This may be interesting. Many single mothers are ashamed of their sexuality because the relationship between them and their father failed. So they teach their children to be ashamed of sex and their sexuality. Well, no, many single mothers are ashamed of their sexuality, not because the relationship between them and their failed father, but because society has taught women to suppress their sexuality. We are chastised heavily when we show that we like sex, or if we are promiscuous, or we are like really, really degraded and treated very bad if we explore our sexuality. If we handle things the same way men do in regards to sexuality, we are treated poorly. That's why women are ashamed of their sexuality. It has nothing to do with the relationship between them and the father and if it failed or not. And so if they teach their children to be ashamed of sex and their sexuality, usually that's tied to some type of religion or something as well. So if they're Christian or something like that, then I could see a mom teaching their children to be ashamed of sex and sexuality. It says boys who grew up in a single parent home often grow up confused about their sexuality. And because there's no father in the home to show them how a healthy heterosexual male relates to women, he starts learning how to relate to the opposite sex from a female perspective. And thanks to his single mother's bad sexual experiences with men, he learns that sex is something dirty and wrong, something only whores do with perverted, no good men. When there was nothing wrong with sex, there was just something wrong with the way she had relationships with men that led her to having bad sexual experiences. Boys from single parent homes are often have no idea how great sex can be. Misled by peers and misinformed by angry parents, they often have a negative perception of sex. Wow, I've never heard that either. I've never heard, listen, if anything, these boys growing up in single parent homes, they like sex more than anybody. Like sex is a wonderful thing to them. This says when a boy is properly educated on his body and his natural male sexual energy, he can share himself with a woman physically, emotionally, and mentally and have a great sexual experience. Yeah, I don't see any boy having like that problem. Do you guys? Like, I have not. I'm sorry, I just haven't. I don't see that. Um, Let's see. Ways single mothers destroy their sons. Misleading boys about male-female relationships. One of the biggest lies single mothers tell their sons is that he has to be a friend to a woman in order to have a sexual romantic relationship with them, when this is not true at all. Following this advice leads boys winding up failing at romance. The truth is that women don't want to be friends with the men they choose to be romantically involved with. Most women choose their sexual partners and boyfriends within the first 5 seconds of looking at them. The single mother may want a man who is their friend after her failed relationships with men, but younger women who are functional and want a good relationship do not want their man to be their best friend. Men who are in the friend zone are men they have no sexual attraction to. Wow. Okay, so this is what I think about this. I think what's most important, right? I hear people always say, I wish I would have been in a relationship with my best friend. I wish I was with my friend. My man is my best friend. There's a difference between being a friend to someone you're dating versus putting someone in the friend zone. Okay, so I think, again, it isn't about a woman being a single mother that's making her teach her son this. I think it's just the woman not being clear about the difference between when a woman puts a man in the friend zone versus a woman wanting to be friends first before they have sexual interaction. You know what I'm saying? Because you can still be friends with somebody and be romantic. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with that one. Ways single mothers destroy their sons. Telling boys that all women are whores. That's true. I just said that my family told me all men weren't shit, and that was like the worst thing they could tell me. Telling boys that all women are whores. Many single mothers express their jealousy at younger women their sons get involved with. They'll say they don't want their sons to make the same mistake they did years ago, but that's a lie. What they resent is the youth and beauty of these women and the possibility that they'll have better character than they have. Moreover, single mothers resent the possibility that their sons will have a successful romantic relationship. Single mothers fear that if their sons have a successful romantic relationship, it'll reflect badly on them, that it'll show how they were the reason why their relationship failed and how everything wasn't on that no good man. I don't understand the logic in that. That doesn't even sound right. Let me read that again. Here's the part I don't get. Single mothers resent the possibility that their sons will have a successful romantic relationship. Why? Listen, if your son has a successful romantic relationship, that means you taught him well. Why would a single mother resent that? That doesn't make any sense to me. It says single mothers fear that if their sons have a successful romantic relationship, it'll reflect badly on them. No, if a single mother son has a successful romantic relationship, it will reflect on his mom, but it will reflect positively on his mom. You understand? It's not going to show how their mom was the reason why their relationship, their own relationship. Like, listen to the sentence. The last sentence he said was that he wrote, it said, single mothers fear that if their sons have a successful romantic relationship, it'll reflect badly on them, that it'll show how they were the reason why the relationship failed and how everything wasn't on that no good man. No, that's not even logical. Like, I don't see any single mother thinking that way. If anything, a son having a successful romantic relationship reflects positively on them because it means that they taught their son some good shit. You know, like, come on, man. Like, maybe, I don't know. To me, that I don't understand that. Okay. Ways single mothers destroy their sons, and this is the last one. Sabotaging his relationships with women. Single mothers hate their sons having girlfriends because they fear that as he gets closer to this woman, he'll start establishing healthy boundaries that will sever the emotional holes they have hooked up to them. And if it severs that hole, she'll have to do something like getting on her own life. Single mothers often have no idea the damage they do to their sons every day, how their indirect actions are having a profound impact on their male child's upbringing, how the values they teach lead to their boys becoming men who can't navigate the challenges of life. If you are a single mom, please put aside your grievances and let that father get involved in his life. He's the only one who can teach him the lessons he'll need to become a man. When you try to raise a boy on your own, all you're doing is destroying his chances of growing up to become a functional adult. This is coming from someone with a patriarch mindset. Okay? Let me just say this. When you're a good person, your children tend to be functional, good people, functional adults. They grow up to become good people because you're a good person. Some of these things that I spoke about in this live stream, I agree with. You guys heard me. Some of them I don't. Okay. I don't think that women should just allow these fathers into their sons' lives if these fathers are not good men. You can tell whether a man is a good man by the way he dealt with you after he found out you was pregnant. Who he turned into after he found out you were pregnant. If you two weren't together or not is not what I mean. Okay? If he decided to leave the relationship, that's a betrayal, of course, but that's not what I mean. Because I know for me, I felt like I told Priest the order of operations. I told him I wanted to be married first, then have kids. And so I felt very much betrayed when he decided to walk away from the relationship after I got pregnant. Right? So, of course, that was a betrayal that he had towards me. But how a man treats you after you are pregnant determines what kind of character this man has. And if he is cruel towards you while you are pregnant, he is not the right man to have around your child. If he does not have the proper respect, empathy, and compassion for you during your pregnancy, whether he believes the child is his or not, he does not have a good character. If it's up in the air about whether this man is the father of your child, right? And you two are going to have a DNA test once the child is born. How he treats you during your pregnancy. Is he responsible? Is he showing up to doctor's appointments? Is he checking up on you? Is he making sure that you're eating properly? If he is not taking care of you while you are pregnant, he's not going to be a good father. Because my thing is, if he lacks the compassion and empathy to take care of you while you're pregnant, understanding that a child, you are with child, there is another human being inside of you. So that means he has to take care of you as well. You are delicate. His own flesh and blood is lying inside of you. So that vessel that's taking care of that baby, if that vessel isn't 100%, then that means that baby is not healthy. And if a man is treating you poorly while you're pregnant, that lets you know who he's going to be once that baby is born. You can start figuring out who they are early on. That's my advice to women. If you're pregnant, you're trying to figure out whether this man's going to be a good father or not, whether he's a good person, because you don't really know. Maybe you had a one-night stand or whatever. You don't really know him like that. How did he treat you during your pregnancy? It tells you everything right there. If he disregards you, if he's disrespectful towards you, if he don't answer the phone when you call, if he call you out your name, when he talk to other people about you, he got something negative to say. If he going around telling everybody he wished the baby wasn't his or he hoped the baby wasn't his, that's not a good person. Character is all fucked up. Because no man who is a real man or has a good character would do any of this. Number one, he's like, yo, this might be my kid, so I'm trying to build a cordial, communicative relationship with this woman. And if that is my son, I want to make sure that my son is taken care of or my daughter is taken care of inside of her. I want my child to be healthy when she comes out. So this man is going to do everything to make sure you are healthy. He's not going to stress you out. He's going to cause you all the problems or whatever. Just remember that. I feel like I've been live streaming forever. I appreciate y'all watching, okay? It's been real. Have vision and stay focused. Namaste.